Welcome to the Underground, the Steel City Underground, the black and gold standard for Pittsburgh Steelers coverage. Now, here's your host, Joe Kuzma and Brian E. Roach.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of the Steel City Underground podcast. My name is Joe Kuzma, and coming to you after a Steelers victory this Monday night, along with my colleague, my cohort, and my partner in crime, my brother from another mother, a host who doesn't like something that rhymes with host, the one, Mr. Brian E. Roach. What's up, Brian? How you feeling, my friend?
I am feeling fine.
Oh my God!
Curbing my enthusiasm.
This is like Benny Snell if you just put periods with Benny Snell football, which we might start doing. Yes. Actually, you might have to emphasize that. Might have to emphasize it. The old you're curbing your enthusiasm. We were just talking off the air. You're a Seinfeld guy, but you're not a Larry David guy, so you can't do things like, pretty, like things like that.
I don't get it. I don't know what it is.
Yeah, I know. A few will. So, hey, you know what? It's adult Seinfeld.
It's this other thing. There was a TikTok commercial during the game tonight, and it was aggravating to me because I don't understand TikTok. I think it's dumb, and I don't know what it is.
Well, I mean, when you get like lots of fast motions and lights and stuff, especially with folks at your advanced age, that'll be a problem. But then they also showed like 3 TikToks on screen at the same time, which then affects my demographic. So it was a little bit of it was a little overwhelming I saw that. I mean, it was just, for the most part, there wasn't anything that was too outrageous, I would say, commercial wise, or everything felt like a good pace, with the presentation of the game, I would say. And we got to start off with the part that it seemed just a little out of place. I watched all these games all weekend, with the exception of actually believing that A.J. Green pushed off on what would have been Joe Burrow's game-winning touchdown and a win for his first start with the Bengals. I thought the referees were absent from most of these games, didn't make these huge life-altering decisions, and then, I don't know, maybe somebody watched too much film on Joe Hayden, and they wanted to get some payback for last year having the ability to challenge pass interference, so they thought, hey, you know what, we're going to screw you. I'm going to throw this, and you're just going to have to take my word for it. And that one was pretty bad, but I'll say one other thing too, Brian. Can you really believe with how poorly the New York Giants offensive line played tonight that there wasn't one flag for holding? And especially even the Steelers offensive line, which we'll have more to talk about. We were concerned about it coming in. It took a while. They got a slow start. Ben was getting hit. And they may be down a few men more. They're already down to Castro. Now they may be down even 2 more additionally. Yeah. And there weren't any flags in that direction either. It was kind of a clean night. Although I think I said maybe coming in that Craig Rolstad's crew wasn't necessarily the worst. You know what I mean? I hadn't had major issues with his officiating crew in the past. I just remember him as being one of the more tolerable referees when you want to like throw a brick at the TV. So, but go ahead and say it, my friend, because
I'll say it. I mean, I'm going to say it, and I got to get the first one out of my system. I got the nerves because, it's been a while since I've had to say this, but the refs stink. They stink. But here's the thing. In a game like this where they just basically stink, period, and it doesn't benefit heavily either team, I'm okay with it. They can just continue to stink. They're not doing a good job. They're not very good, but at least they were bad almost all over the place.
Yeah, you know what? I got a couple things. Well, the main reason I'm upset with that is because they took the shot with Darius Slayton right after that, and I know some people are upset trying to figure out who's supposed to cover where, and it looked like Joe Hayden was supposed to be the one to fill in. A lot of people were chiming in, at least people whose opinions I respect. A whole bunch of other people that don't have a clue the field's even 100 yards. I don't really take the Twitterverse, at face value there, but there was a few people out there that were talking about it, and sure looked like it from the replays, but it was already in his head. You know what I mean? That play before that, how much more perfectly can that be defended against a guy like Evan Ingram? You're outmatched somewhat by him because he's larger, he's a tight end, he's a big target. And then I'm going to say the tight ends overall tonight on both sides, kind of like a mixed bag. Ingram had his glove held by Mike Hilton, which
his wristband,
and
very very ingenious way to cheat.
Yeah, and he was looking for those calls all night, even though he couldn't catch a cold. He had a few dropsies. He's looking very Dante Moncrief-ish. I will say one thing though. I got something for Eric Ebron as well. I saw him on and now this is the thing. They were criticizing his blocking. I can understand pass pro. He chipped someone on the one play, and then Banner couldn't quite hold up on the one bend sack. But on yet another play, he came across in front of the line of scrimmage to intentionally run block and got put on his posterior. So kind of hard to do when you got full momentum. He needs a little bit more in his posterior. I think
junk in his trunk. He needs some more junk in his trunk, man.
Hey, as a beanpole myself growing up, I understand how that can work out. It was just something that I wanted to throw out there as an observation. We got a whole bunch of observations here. I guess we want to kick it off straight from the kickoff. I don't know. We'll put one thing out there first. Thank you, for the Steelers kicking off. You know what I mean? This is like I like having the defer to getting the ball to start the second half. That works in their favor. Yes. Well, didn't really work in their favor because they didn't score that opening drive, but still a lot better. He didn't throw the pressure on Ben right away and say, "Oh, I got Ben," like we got a Hulk. You know what I mean? So the defense at first, a little bit on their heels, but they finally forced the punt. It looks like things are going to go their way, and then Deontay Johnson I don't know. I get it. I have a buddy that's neutral party to this. He's not a fan of either of the two teams. He was watching because he lives in the New York market, right? And his Broncos are playing, the second game. So he's like, this game's putting me to sleep. And then he says, having been down on the field at MetLife, I could attest that the winds swirl. I could attest that myself about Heinz Field. I didn't think you get lost in the lights. Was he a little nervous? I don't know. I mean, maybe there's some just jitters because these guys didn't get to play any preseason games. Not sure what it is. I'll just make the excuse for him. But there were people out there already saying, "Do you miss Ryan Switzer now?" And then you're kind of like, "Well, do you?" Because you're the same people who were happy about him being released.
Yeah, no, I don't. But let me put it this way. What this does. What this muff punt on the first punt of the season does is it puts the entirety of Steeler Nation in the position where we will not be able to be comfortable during any punt for the rest of the year. That's what it does, because now we're the first one he muffs, the second one he looks incredibly uncomfortable while catching, but at least catches, and we're basically gonna be, every time the defense forces a punt, we're gonna be going the whole time, and I don't know that we're going to get over it, even if he doesn't do it again the rest of the season.
I know, and you're just people are always going to remember that too, because it's the Monday night game. Nobody else was playing. Primetime game, no other distractions, more accessibility to this game, even for the casual fans. This is what they're going to remember from him, even though he really turned it up as the game went on.
He redeemed himself in a variety of ways.
So we had talked about this. We said the defense is going to be much stronger because they're not going to be out there as much. This is going to be a better offense, and kind of kicking yourself in the behind, making such preposterous type of predictions here. Let me see.
Didn't work out that way early on, that's for sure.
Yeah, they figured it out though, because the time of possession was definitely lopsided through the beginning of this game. And I'm trying to see if we actually have if they have the breakdowns here by each quarter, and I can't see.
I do. I have it right in front of me.
Oh, go ahead. What were the first two quarters?
8-11. First quarter, Steelers had the ball 8 minutes, 11 seconds. Giants had it 6:49. Second quarter was pretty close, 7:50 to 7:10. Giants got the advantage in the third, 8:50. The Steelers were 6:10. Fourth quarter, Steelers 9 minutes and 33 seconds. Giants 5:27. So it's about a 3-minute advantage overall, 31-44 to 28-16.
Didn't feel that way whatsoever. It felt like the Giants had the ball the entire game.
Yeah, it really did. It did feel that way. I agree.
Yeah, I was trying to see.
And you know why? It's that long drive. That drive that that, I mean, I don't want to get into it yet because there's too much fun to be had in that drive after all the aggravation of the drive itself.
Yes.
But that long drive felt like it took up the entire third quarter.
Oh, absolutely did. I'm sure when we pull it up, we'll find that out. And just another note, the way it felt, the way it turned out, both teams had 64 plays run tonight. So, I mean, That's pretty, even Steven right there. But literally, all the Steelers did was punt the ball, and half of the guys that are on the punt team just stayed on the field, basically.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a little facetious, but the defense didn't leave the field. And they still somehow did their job. They bottled up Saquon. That was the thing tonight. Whatever you see from the past game, they said, we're going to try make Daniel Jones beat us. That was the game plan tonight. Don't let Saquon Barkley beat us. Don't let Sterling Shepard beat us. Those two guys, maybe even Evan Ingram to a degree, maybe shadowed a little bit there. That's the way I felt it was. But that 3 and out right there on the 3-yard line was that was pretty sharp stuff. And again, that was probably something where it was the pressure. The pressure was put on Daniel Jones. He didn't get the clean pass to Ingram, who did pop open there. And TJ recognized that. And I think that plays into what ends up happening a little bit later. But the Steelers, they come out, they finally get the ball, and then they go 3 and out. So all of a sudden, you get the defense just going right back on the field. And luckily, they forced a 3 and out there, too. So I'm not putting a whole lot on the defense here just yet. The Steelers finally get a drive. They get to tie the game on a 41-yard Chris Boswell field goal. We saw some kind of floaters when it comes to some of these passes from Big Ben. We saw James Conner. He ends up leaving the game. Never a good thing now. It's an ankle. He dropped some passes. He didn't look sharp. He did not look sharp. I was expecting better. I was thinking maybe it was the offensive line. Not thinking that as we get further in this game when we see what Benny Snell ends up doing. But we're just at the end of the first quarter here and then going into the second quarter. Giants end up getting the ball, and you have the aforementioned Joe Hayden pass interference, the 41-yard touchdown pass from Danny Dimes, which is going to be the most annoying nickname since Johnny Football, to Darius Slayton. And now you're looking at 10-3. And what are the Steelers going to do? Well, we're going to see how good Dustin Colquitt is again. Which, you know what? I got some good things to say about him. He had some pretty sharp punts here. Everything needed to be where it needed to be as far as the field position battle. But now you're starting to think to yourself, are we really playing a field position battle with the New York Football Giants and Danny Dimes and all these other guys we know, Jimmy Bagabones and whoever else is playing here? You know what I mean? But here it is, man. That touchdown play, it pretty much set up TJ Watt to just say, I'm just going to freelance this. I don't even know how he came up with the ball here.
That was a great play. I don't know how he suckered Daniel Jones into throwing that, whether he just got ups somehow and managed to get it. And even after he got his hands on it, I thought he was going to drop it. But he reels it in. And isn't it interesting? Well, I'll wait until after we talk about the second interception before I say that. But, you get this turnover and it really does kind of change the tenure or the tone of the game. And you feel like, all right, maybe that's going to set things straight. And I don't remember whether it was, I think they did score right off of that, didn't they? They took that interception, and they essentially scored the touchdown, and then Boz misses the extra point.
Yeah,
but
so bizarre.
But hits the upright and clanged it very hard. It wasn't the best night for Boz either, but
and I wonder if some of that.
Okay.
I wonder if some of that's because of Colquitt and a new holder. New
holder could be. Well, you can't blame the kickoff out of bounds on him.
No, yeah, that was. I'm like, really.
I know that was just like. I mean, come on. I can deal with the rest. Kickoff out of bounds. I mean, maybe he was trying to angle it to the sideline. Maybe the wind caught it. I don't know. And I don't want to find too many things to complain about because overall, this is not a bad game. When I was talking to Wex last week, Jim Wexel, he said, and we all know this, Ben starts slow. It's not like he comes out and immediately lights things up. And on top of that, this is now, it's not just a Ben's going to start slow because he didn't have preseason. It's a Ben's going to start slow because he didn't have a last season and he didn't have a preseason and he's jittery and his elbow and all these other things. But, there were a lot of encouraging things that came out of the game, I thought, as it went along from the offensive side of the ball. There's some worrying things. There was some grown-ass man moments, for sure, which I know we'll get to. But, overall, I think you should be pretty, as a Steelers fan, you should be pretty content that they managed to get out of there 1-0, and it wasn't a nail-biter.
To a degree, because again, there was still a little bit of worry here. I mean, they were still down even when you got TJ Watt to make the big play. But when you're looking at 10-3 and these guys could go down the field and score again, 13-3 is a 2-possession game. 17-3 is troublesome when you're not moving the ball at all, and you've seen nothing going on with James Conner in the run game. And Ben doesn't have a noodle arm, but it looked more nervous until he ran the hurry up, and then he kind of forgot that he had been hurt for a while.
Well, I'll tell you, early on he threw it wasn't a completion, but it was a laser. I mean, the one touchdown to the first touchdown to
between
Juju,
like three people.
Between like three people. That pass to Deontay Johnson that he dropped because he got rocked. That was a laser. That was a ball that we haven't seen Ben throw in a while. Now the noodle off the back foot to Juju for the touchdown, that we've seen before. But I mean, again, that's just it was funny. And before I forget, I want to bring this up. I had tweeted this out. I have to give some credit to Kirk Herbstreit and Chris Fowler, because they were the least annoying Monday Night Football duo of play announcers, even though they called, James Washington, Nate Washington, and Nate Washington chimed in on that on Twitter and said, I'm stealing away their stuff. I'm making them remember me.
Juju
they
Schuster-Smith.
Screwed a couple things up. Yeah, Juju Schuster-Smith. They screwed a couple things up, but they were actually the least annoying duo. I was so complacent about the announcing for once on Monday Night Football that Booger didn't even bother me at halftime.
No, Kirk was bothering me a little bit. He messed up Devin Bush. He got somebody else confused.
That was on purpose. Come on, that's an Ohio State guy talking about a Michigan guy. That was on purpose.
Maybe. I mean, there was several instances. I'll give him some credit though. That's a tough haul. We talked about that in a pregame, like we really should be talking about it. But I said it's going to be interesting having a college football guy come in and. Now you got to analyze all these rosters and commit all these things to memory, and you haven't seen any other film either. So I agree. Well, it could have been much, much worse. And they're essentially they're the B team. The other guys had the later game, so you will be annoyed when we go back to Cincinnati for a Monday night game later in the year. But alas, the little rainbow pass here. What happened right before this was Benny, period, Snell, dot, football, period. Football. Yes, football. 8 yards, 1 yard to the 1 yard line, third down. Ben's looking to see what the heck's going on. The referees are trying to figure out, it's short, we're spotting it. And they don't do the arm pump thing and reset the play clock. And he's just looking, he's chewing out the referees. Tomlin, I'm sure we would have a much better visual if he wasn't wearing a face mask. Having a little bit of conversation on the sideline too, because they cost. I'm like, really, this is going to cost them some yards now, and they go to 3rd and 5. He hits the deep pass to Eric Ebron. He had a short pass to Vance McDonald, which I even forgot about, to be completely honest. The old alley oop to Juju, just throw it up there, and he'll end up going and getting it. And then the shaky, weak knees or whatever he was doing there. So maybe a little bit of the noodle leg. Broncos, Giants. I got Broncos on the brain now because it got me thinking about the other announced team. Anyway, Steelers defense, not necessarily a 3 and out, but they get it done. They get an offensive pass interference on Ingram. They were in his head all night. They're rent free. But then the Steelers don't do anything to get the ball back. And you're just like, geez, oh man, okay. Colquitt kicks it like 50 yards. You're seeing Jabril Peppers maybe having a way. You don't want to see him break free. I'm like, come on, somebody tackle. We could do this. You know what I mean? Defense does it again. Steelers get the ball. 2-minute drill. Total vintage Ben Roethlisberger.
Absolutely. That was one of the most encouraging things about the game is that 2-minute drill at the end of the first half, where Ben's calling his own plays. They're doing, and I get it. Look, man, the Fichtner hate was strong with the dark side tonight.
Yeah.
It was definitely strong, and I get it. They looked a little predictable early on, but that was pure vintage Ben Roethlisberger doing what he does, and I one of the really truly first shout out grown ass man moments of the game for me was James Washington scoring that touchdown.
Oh no, wait.
That was just grown ass man strength.
That's not the first one. We skipped over.
I said one of the first
one
ones.
of the first,
not the very first one.
It was
one of them.
Santonio Claypool. I mean Mapletron. I mean Chase Claypool.
Oh yeah. Oh, Mapletron. Mapletron
Build him out.
That catch was a grown ass man catch, no doubt. Tony Toe Tap imitations steal the title from one big chest who I won't talk about anymore.
Clown.
Yeah. And plus I can't remember when Vince Williams' sack was, but that was a grown ass man sack too. Boom. That was a boom sack.
Weren't they all? Yeah. That's the John Madden. Boom.
Yeah, it really was. Boom. That was awesome, man. That's why I love Vince Williams. That was awesome.
Vince Williams was shot out of a cannon. I'm like, when you're talking about speed on the defense, I don't think Vince Williams is the name that comes to mind. But
he's not.
I mean, and that's just by virtue of it. It's not to say he's slow. He could definitely beat us in a foot race. But compared to everybody else on the defense, holy cow, was that D so fast. Bud Dupree was playing like a maniac.
Bud Dupree was absolutely insane.
If you put if you put a paper bag over his head and over TJ's and swap their numbers, you wouldn't tell them apart. They were both out of their minds. It was crazy. But that drive by Ben, pass short middle, the completions, short middle to Deontay Johnson, deep right to James Washington. Then there was an incompletion. Then another completion to Juju, incomplete to Deontay, complete to Juju. So off on. Then that scramble that you were talking about. They get up at 16-10 with the pass short to James Washington, where it was a correct type of pick play. There was another one later here with the Giants that was a pick play that I was pretty irked about too. That was just it was like a basketball box out for a rebound.
Yeah.
It was pretty bad. I'm trying to think who it was on. It may have been they may have gotten Steven Nelson or something like that. But just some observations as I was watching through the game, because this third quarter, I mean, there's not a whole lot that happens here with the Steelers right away. You have this big, long drive that I know you cannot wait to talk about. You don't have much hair left. You've got some questionable spots because you have a mohawk. What was it, 19 plays? What was this drive? 19,
it was crazy.
19 plays, and it ends in absolutely zero. The poor Giants fans that I know are just – they're out of their minds. They're just like 19 plays, 87 yards. And he throws an interception to a defensive lineman.
I couldn't. He's the OG, right? He's the OG, and he really wasn't. I mean, he was decent in run support, but he got blown off the ball a couple times tonight, and I was thinking, hey, what's going on with Cam? But you're talking about a 19-play drive. That the defense looked gassed. You just believed the Giants were going to score because they just looked gassed. Bud Dupree, goes in and hair on fire, disrupts the throw, puts the pressure on, maybe even, nicked the ball or his arm. And the OG grown ass man, Cam Hayward, gets the second interception. And now we look at the stats, and with this defense, the two picks, one's
point.
by a defensive lineman and the other is an outside linebacker. Not an outside linebacker of the Jack Ham ilk variety, but a guy whose job is to rush the passer. Nobody in the secondary has, no middle, interior linebackers. No, a defensive lineman. A guy who's rushing the passer.
Not for lack of trying.
They get our interceptions.
Joe Hayden could have had the one on the 2-point conversion try. It slipped through his hands, which could have also been disastrous. And there was a ping pong ball early that Devin Bush tried.
Devin Bush almost had, yeah.
Yeah, it was like he was playing, in the infield or something, trying to get that one out of the dirt. So Steelers, two plays later, another grown-ass man play for you. I give you the credit for calling this one out on Twitter because this was Benny Snell with Kirk Herbstreit because couldn't believe that Juju is a player. He should have a 99 awareness on Madden.
Yeah.
Dives on it like a grenade. Yeah.
Juju had a good game. It was nice to see Juju have a good game. But the best play of the game from my standpoint for Juju was that fumble. Benny Snell loses the ball, and amidst a sea of blue jerseys, the only white jersey in the neighborhood, Juju Smith-Schuster goes in and says, "That's my ball." and that was a grown-ass man moment right there for sure.
And then it just becomes all these young studs, too. You get the Steelers on another 3 and out of Steelers defense against the Giants offense. Sterling Shepard for 4 yards, tackled instantly, Joe Hayden. Saquon Barkley losing another yard. He's lost a lot of yards in this game. I'm going to pull up some of his plays, too. It's just crazy. Then Daniel Jones gets completely smoked by Mike Hilton. And the bad thing is that he's sitting there and he's calling the coverage and, like, it's like you on some of these plays and you still can't help. They still couldn't do anything about it. There were several times where I was biting my lip. I was going, whoo, and I was just kind of speechless on some of the pressure that the defense was bringing all night. It was outstanding. It was crazy. So you get to see a little bit of Jalen Samuels here as the fourth quarter rolls through, and the Steelers end up going up on another Ben Roethlisberger pass, this time a little cleaner of a pass for Juju Smith-Schuster, who was no less wide open than he was on the first one. The rest of this is garbage time football by the Giants. I don't really care. This is why it seemed forever. It was a 3:31 game clock elapsed, 13 plays, 75 yards, but it took 13 minutes and 8 seconds of real time. I mean, it just seemed like it lasted forever, man. I mean, that's probably why. The real time was more than anything, and is what it is. But the Steelers, they got the ball. They chewed a little bit of clock with Benny Snell football. They ran the play that Jim Wexell said he couldn't talk about in the pool reports. Yeah. The little Chase Claypool thing.
My number 11 jersey that I got on here.
Yeah, I'm the only one who could see that. I'm sporting Juju today, so I got the proper wear on, too. I got the away jersey, man. So
I don't own any of those.
So this leads into the final score. I get so paranoid about the white jerseys. This one actually has a stain on it. They all get destroyed at some point for some reason. So, but final score 26-16, and as we said, with the winning season returning at MyBookie, we went with the under. We would have hit the under. So what was it? Was it 46 or 43? Because it doesn't really matter. I thought it was 45. I don't remember, but anywhere in that ballpark, they were under. We hit that one. We hit the nail on the head. We had it somewhere about, I don't know. I was giving the Giants a little less respect. The garbage time points, I guess. What did I say? Like 9 points, 10 points, somewhere in there.
Yeah.
And I didn't think the Steelers would quite reach 30. I thought they'd be a slow start. If you took any of the prop bets here on MyBookie as well, I had Ben under 300 yards. I had him with only 2 touchdowns or less, but he did get the 3. Is what it is. So I got his slow start going right, and I just feel sometimes I didn't think they want him to pass the ball too much. And I guess we'll talk about that in a second because he still had 117.8 rating. But anyways, the winning season does return at MyBookie, and the winning season means doubling your first deposit. It means getting in on the action of the Thursday Night Football. Browns with another AFC North matchup here. So
they got to play the Bengals?
They got to play the Bengals. They got to do it this Thursday night. So one of these two teams in the AFC North is going to be 0-2 and 0-2 in the division regardless.
Yeah. So
that'll be kind of nice. You might want to get your money in on some of that because the winning season means insane props, epic bonuses, and the craziest cross-sport wagers. At MyBookie, winning season means watching live sports and betting live sports all season long. The NFL's returned. It feels good. We just need fans in the stands, right? But that means sitting from your couch. You have action-packed Sundays, Mondays, maybe some Thursdays. Who knows when else they're going to be playing some football. You get in maybe, check out some of the other sports action that's there too. Use the promo code SteelCity and double your first deposit. New players get up to $1,000.
What?
Did you hear that, Brian? I know, you're hard of hearing. This is definitely Brian's thing, but it's up to $1,000 in free play designed to add more excitement to the sports you love and the games you bet. So bet with the best this NFL season, for your chance to win big by using the promo code Steel City and double your first deposit, because your winning season begins today only at my bookie. And I'm actually going to look at those odds just to see exactly where that is. I was mentioning Joe Burrow. A lot of people were saying, he looked really great. I thought the Chargers were pretty trash, though, myself. I thought both teams.
I thought they looked terrible.
Both of those teams were not strong, and the Browns looked absolutely miserable. I mean, Baker Mayfield threw that ball away. I think it was Marlon Humphrey, and it was like right out the gate, and I was like, oh, here we go. Already starting it up. But they got an over-under of 44 for that game, and the Bengals are they're getting 6 points, oddly enough. So, but the game's in Cleveland, so not that they'll have 6,000 fans or whatever. That's what
If this is a game you feel compelled to bet on, I'm gonna tell you need to call the anonymous number or whatever. Because just stay away from this game.
The 800 line. I know
there's better games to bet on than the Browns and the Bengals.
It's moderately better than the Pro Bowl. So, but I don't know. Sometimes you can get in on some of the different prop stuff. I was trying to see. I don't think we got anything yet that we could look at. I was trying to pull something else up, but I guess we'll have to leave it right there. Oh my goodness. They actually had, I should have seen this. Will Andy Reid wear the face shield for the Chiefs game week 2? -250 or +170 for a no. And then there's also the first NFL coach to be fined for no mask. Some of the favorites on here, Bill Belichick is +1,000. That's just too funny. And you got on the lower end of the spectrum, you got like John Gruden, a +400. First NFL team to host 30,000 fans for a 2020 game. I don't know, +400 Jacksonville. I mean, they got the Cowboys. The Cowboys would be they're only +250 here if you're betting on them. And that's because they have like one of the largest stadiums in the entire National Football League. So to put 30,000 in there, you might be able to put people 6 feet apart. I don't know. So there's some cool stuff on there too to go check out at MyBookie. Just some odd and wacky observations. We still have some of those within the Browns-Steelers 26-16 victory here. And
that would be the Giants. And
oh, who did I say? I said the Browns.
You got the Browns on the
brain. Jeez, oh man, that's such a bad, miserable thing to have in my life. Anyways, 26-16. As might be the same score when they play the Browns too. Who knows? Saquon Barkley, 15 attempts, 6 yards.
Outrushed by Ben Roethlisberger.
Ben Roethlisberger, 3 for 9.
Yeah,
better average too. Just more yards per attempt. That's crazy. I don't know. I don't think somebody said it's a dual threat AFC North because Baker's kind of mobile. Burrow was running for his life behind that bad offensive line, and Lamar Jackson's a running back. So I know we could throw the ball too.
I don't think that you can consider Ben in those.
No,
I mean, look, we saw him run. That was it was not a pretty sight.
Well, somebody said he was holding his knee. I was like, he was maintaining his balance so he didn't fall over. I mean, he nearly got clipped.
I'd say.
Nearly got his heels clipped. I mean, James Conner for having a hurt ankle, for being made of glass again.
I said it. I've been saying it all off season.
But Brian, 6 attempts for 9 yards. Nice. 6 for 9.
It was ugly.
It was ugly
early on.
6 for 9. It's still better than Saquon Barkley.
Yeah, it still is. It's a better average even then.
But wait, there's more. Chase Claypool, 1 for 8 yards. Still more. Still more.
And I got to tell you this. I tweeted this out, but I got to tell you this. So I put a bunch of Chase Claypool and a bunch of other Steelers cards up on eBay. And the minute he made that grown-ass man catch, all of a sudden I got like 1 billion bids on all the Chase Claypool cards. It was great.
Yeah, and you know what? We have one more guy. Benny Snell, football.
Benny Snell,
19 for 113. Uh-oh. You hate to see anybody lose their job due to injury. And you saw the frustration in Zach Banner sitting on the bench.
I feel so bad for Zach Banner.
Yeah, because this may be a payday parlayed into a next contract. And if he's out for the year and somebody else ascends like Chooks, who was already the 1A, 1B, the 2-horse race here for the right tackle position. According to Tomlin, he got 2 starter-capable guys. It's the only reason why I'm not freaking too much. And I saw what Kevin Dotson did on that touchdown, too.
Yeah.
Looked impressive there. You get the Castro back. Maybe be able to. I wonder if we can convince the big Ragu in an emergency situation to come out of retirement. You never know. Break the glass or something. You just never know. But, 113 yards. I mean, it looked like it might have been an offensive line problem. Might have just been a personnel thing. I don't know if Connor was hurting before this game or what the heck happened, but he wasn't there, and you hate to see it.
Did they say was Wisniewski a concussion?
Hurt a pec.
No, a pectoral issue. Yeah, I saw that. Because I got to tell you, look, it's not that he played bad, but he didn't play great. It is the offensive line did not look good early on, and I don't think it was just James Conner because Benny Snell didn't do much early on. But as the game wore on, they started to play a little better. There was a couple of really nice blocks by Kevin Dotson. I know that the professor called one out, but Dotson also did a nice pull to spring Benny Snell late in the game, for one of those longer runs that he had. Really, really impressed there. I mean, I think that's a very good sign that young grown-ass young man is potentially getting some experience. I'm not overly concerned about the offensive line, but I'm a little worried about the offensive line, especially if anything else goes haywire. You lose 2 guys in one game. That's rough, regardless of whether you have backups for them or not. You know what I mean? At some point the well runs dry.
Yeah, and just Joe Reuter, who's a friend of ours as well, friend of Steel City Underground here, reporting that Mason Rudolph was warming up on the sideline while Ben had the sleeve. Come on, Joe. Not enough of us are there to be able to see or know anything. We're counting on you there, bud. You don't, give Brian a heart attack.
I don't know, that made me laugh. I retweeted his tweet about it, but I did it because I meant to quote tweet it and say, Joe, you're not supposed to say things like that.
No drops by Juju. 6 for 69. Nice. Deontay, 10 targets that went his way, including 1 right on the back of his jersey. But 6 of those caught, 57 yards. Juju, of course, with the 2 touchdowns. James Washington, 2 for 34 with the TD. Claypool, 2 for 39 with the big gainer with the Santonio Holmes impression. Eric Ebron, only the 1 catch for 18 yards. He had another one that went his direction, as did Vance McDonald, only 1 of 2 for 3 yards. Jalen Samuels, 1 for 1. There was one other goofy play in here, too. I don't know if it was a pass. I think they called it a fumble because it was like a backwards pass toward James Conner. Some of the sloppy stuff that just happened early, and we talked about there possibly being the old sloppiness. Brian, we didn't get to, on the defensive side, though, we didn't get to the 5, 6, 7 sacks or whatever we thought. And the strip of Daniel Jones. But they did enough, and the 2 unlikely interceptions. And, overall, a lot of people.
Let me do say this. Okay. They did actually cause a Daniel Jones fumble. It just didn't get called a fumble. And we're glad it didn't because it would have resulted in a touchdown for the Giants. But they did cause one. It just it went as an incomplete pass.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. Actually, believe it or not, Mason Rudolph, I think, was the only Steeler who suited up tonight that did not play. Wow. Yeah, everybody got in.
I know you said this in the back rooms, and I want to second this. Like, Alex Highsmith played, and he played well. Mm-hmm. When he was in limited snaps, but he looked good. He looked the part. And, man, did he put some pressure on Daniel Jones towards the end of that game. I really wanted him to get him, man. I really wanted him to get that sack, so much so. But that's also really encouraging. Ola looked good.
Yes.
When he was in. And that from the standpoint of moving forward with this defense, that's just a great thing to see, because if you keep TJ and Bud fresh and you don't really lose that much from a pass rush standpoint when you put Alex Highsmith and Ola in, man, how much scarier is this defense?
Well, they had Terrell Edmonds up in the box quite a bit tonight.
Yep.
And they also played Cam Sutton up there, dimebacker, more of the thing they were talking about with Marcus Allen being an inside linebacker. When Vince was off the field, Cam Sutton was out there. I don't think we have official snap counts. I'm going to refresh this. Usually you get them in the morning from a night game like this. Yeah, I still don't have them, so we won't have that information until whether we come back in the middle of the week or at the end of the week with the pregame for the Denver Broncos and a home opener with no fans. But I would surmise that we may have seen somewhere in the, what did we say, 64 plays? Had to be about 25 snaps for Cam Sutton easily. And he was out there, and he was balling too. Him and Hilton,
yeah.
I mean, they were interchangeable. This is like, there aren't very many holes on this defense if there are any. Chris Wormley got out there some. Tyson Alualu even got acknowledged by the broadcast team.
Yes.
I mean,
and he played well. He played well.
He did. And you said this like in the offseason, you were starting to veer towards some guys who could be in the Potsy territory of free agent pickups that are valuable to Steelers. Quietly, Tyson Alualu starting to nudge toward one of those good free agent pickups that's really become like a solid part of the defense. He does some of the dirty work. Yep. You don't hear his name all the time, but very encouraging. Like everything you said, Devin Bush was mentioned at some point because you didn't hear his name the whole night because he was in coverage and doing all kinds of things. And I was watching him, trying to get everybody in lined up and in position and everything like that. And he's often forgotten as being that guy that they moved up for to get with that 10th pick. And you know who else was awful quiet tonight too? Minka Fitzpatrick.
Yeah.
I mean, it was kind of crazy. I know there was some plays. Some people are going to say second-year quarterback did this, that, and the other thing. I think some of that's by design. I think some of that's not seeing film and having preparation. Some of that's being your first game of the season. I am taking it with a grain of salt. I'm looking forward to seeing what else this team does because, like you said, for all the things we came out, we started complaining. I guess it's just a byproduct of we get on social media and everybody brings us down to their level. But there were quite a bit of positive things going on in this game. Ben does look like he's back. Ben looks like he's in shape. And as the game progressed, things looked stronger. I'm going to finish off watching the Denver Broncos and see what next week's opponent looks like. They both, Steelers and the Broncos, both on a short week. Steelers actually get to play a little bit earlier, and they get to play at home. So the Broncos will have to travel, and they'll have to travel from they're in the mountains, so I assume that's the mountain. That's the mountain time zone. But regardless, a little bit of a change there for a 1:00 game. So they may be tired, and that may benefit them also with another second-year quarterback. Second year? Yeah, second year. Drew Lock, same class with Daniel Jones last year, right? Yeah. So, what they can do is continue to benefit from this and, before you get on to bigger and better things, I guess, here in the future. Well, I don't know about bigger and better. Deshaun Watson, but, I got to see more because they fell apart Thursday night. They had like one good – That was the other thing I was looking at was game script with the Giants. And I was thinking the same thing. I'm like, the Texans looked really great for a drive or two, and then the wheels just fell off. And the Giants looked really good for like a drive or so, and then, you know what I mean? So the dink and dunk stuff, they found some things that kind of worked. Jason Garrett isn't new, and none of these guys are really new at this, you know what I mean? Even if you have a new head coach and Joe Judge and everything like that. Personnel and things switch around, but hey, we'll see what happens. And I guess the other encouraging thing is that even if you thought the game, the play calling and the first half stunk with the Steelers offense, they certainly knew how to adjust and get things going. Not only with that no huddle at the end of the first half, but also going into the second half. Those are the things where you throw away everything that I don't know. It seems like they stick to a hard script, and it's like, we must do everything like this. I am robot. You know what I mean? And I think they shoot themselves in the foot with that.
Yeah, I was getting very frustrated with them early on in the game because it was such a predictable set of run, pass, kind of play calling, very non-creative. And I kind of expected more, but I will give them credit. They definitely adjusted that. I know that people are really, really tired of runs on second and long. And I get it. because I'm not thrilled with the running on second and long either. But, on occasion you spring one of those. It's just, you can't do it consistently. I do think that there's some good signs though. And just having, Ben get that feel back, I think he'll start to take more control of this offense as the season goes on. And it'll be more of, coordination by, combination. Ben will decide what he wants to run.
Just have Ben call the plays and move Shazier to safety too.
Yeah, move Shazier to safety.
That's
now you made me sad. Why'd you have to bring that one up? That makes me sad.
Oh, because it's still the ridiculous things that people say. That's why.
That's true.
So, but I don't think we got to talk about his retirement, and that's kind of like, I think, the last thing to leave off with. And how do they say that? Happy trails on, like, pardon the interruption or whatever. Godspeed and God bless, I guess, to Ryan Shazier, and all the best. And it's good to see him, in good health and good spirits. And it may not be the transition he wanted at this time for a post-football career the way he had pictured it, but he won't be forgotten by Steelers Nation anytime soon. That's for certain. And I don't anticipate that number 50 being given out to anyone anytime soon as well.
No, I think Kevin Colbert said it the best. He can retire from football, but he can't retire from being a Pittsburgh Steeler. And that was really, I thought, very, very profound. If anything about this can be profound, that was very profound. It's just a part of the culture and the way that this team always has operated. And I said when it happened that all I cared about was that he was able to live a normal life. That looks like that's the case. And whether he decides to come back to football in one way or another as a coach, he certainly has the football intelligence to do stuff. I think, as long as he can do something that's going to be fulfilling and make him happy, then the best. And I'm really, it's still really quite impressive the way he's worked to get back to where he actually is.
Yeah. And I think he really, really felt like he may be able to give it a go. You know what I mean? But there's probably a lot of mitigating factors, doctors and people that just don't want him to take that chance. Maybe, his own family, you know what I mean? So, it's, you can't, I don't want to say hold it against him. I don't think anybody would hold that against him. I think it would have been a great comeback or Cinderella story, but this isn't the same kind of thing that Ben's coming back from. You know what I mean?
No, it's not the same.
So it was just very powerful to see him that 1 year at the draft walk. And I mean, we see how much of a struggle it is and how unfortunate that particular injury was. So again, our best wishes, I guess, for Ryan Shazier in his retirement. And I think he could at least smile seeing his team get a victory and start off the season the right way, 1-0, or 1-0 on the season, 1-0. Same thing. So Baltimore Ravens 1-0, and then you got the Browns and Bengals at the bottom there. So Steelers could be in a much better position maybe than in previous years, and it's already been alluded to this first game. You know what I mean? Now, just how much the impact could be, some of these different plays. Clean this up a little bit. Deontay Johnson doesn't drop that ball. A couple of other things here. Steelers definitely dominate the entire game that way. So I think they left a little bit on the table. They know that. They're going to go back to the drawing board, get ready for the Denver Broncos, and that's what we're going to do next too, Brian. So thanks for joining me once again, and especially on this late evening. There'll be some night owls out there that'll hear this tonight, and then everybody else will probably catch it in the morning. So thanks to you for taking your time out of your evening, and thank you to our supporters and listeners too.
Absolutely. Always a pleasure, especially after a victory.
Yes, what he said. So he would be Brian. My name would be Joe. And don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And we also encourage you, this is the easy one, for all of our listeners out there to be safe, be good, and we'll catch you later.
We would like to thank you for listening and remind our listeners to follow us on social media and our website, www.steelcityunderground.com.